Hello and welcome to your new home for fantasy football content, Ms Dream Team. This is a fantasy football channel built for managers who focus on the eye test as well as all the statistics. I am a massive football fan, but I support no team. This means every single one of my picks, opinions and breakdowns come to you without any bias. This channel is launching with a main focus on the Sun Dream Team, but my content can easily be used to assist you with FPL and other fantasy football formats too. Please subscribe to be notified of my upcoming videos, drop a like on the video, and I hope you enjoy all of my upcoming content. How do we play the Sun Dream Team? Now, this is a brief overview of the rules based on last season. We are still waiting for the app to launch for this season, so there may be changes within the rules for this season, which I will update you on. But yes, as of last year, you had £50 million to create a team of 11 players. There was no limit to the number of players that you could have in your team from each team, unlike FPL where you're only allowed, I believe, 3 players per team. You essentially score points based on your players' returns. So, for example, if they score a goal or provide an assist, they will score points. Your players will also lose points should they pick up a yellow card, for example. There is more on the scoring on the next page and, of course, on the official Sun Dream Team website. You will score double points for your captain, so you'll need to select a captain choice each week and also a vice captain should your captain not play, and they will score double points for the game week. What makes the Sun Dream Team really exciting is that your players will score points if they play in the Premier League, all the domestic cups and the European competitions. So there's lots to think about, lots of games to keep an eye on, and I believe it just opens the door for some more differential picks as opposed to FPL because of these reasons. Your players will go up or down in price depending on their performances and scores. So the initial aim would be to try and increase your budget by making good transfers in of players that do well, in the hope that your budget increases. This is so you can afford the better players later on in the game. More on that later. You will have up to 2 transfers that you can make per game week. You don't have to use all of these in one go. You can carry them over up to a maximum of 6 transfers, so that essentially you may end up getting like a mini wildcard at some point where you can change sort of half your team. You get 3 boosters per season. Last season these were the maximum captainship, so if you're a bit unsure about who to pick as your captain, you could select that one, and of course the player with the most points in your team scored double points. They also had a goal bonus chip where your players scored 9 points instead of 6. And they also had the 12th man chip. So if you wanted an extra player in your team for a game week, you could select that chip as well. They introduced a substitute feature last season because in the Sun Dream Team you don't have a bench unlike FPL. So you are relying on your 11 players to play. But you can use this substitute feature once per game week, up to a maximum of 5 times per season. So take a double game week, for example. If there's Premier League at the weekend and one of your players doesn't play, but there's also a midweek game where you could potentially use the substitute feature, substitute that player out for another player in the hope that they play the midweek game. And at the end of the game week, your team will just revert back to the 11 that you did have. So that's also another option. So, just a brief overview at the moment. I'll update you if there's any changes once the app is launched. So, how do you score? Well, there are lots of reasons why your players will score points, as displayed in this page. And there's also lots of ways your players can lose points. So there'll be more info on the website and in future videos. The Sun Dream Team also offer bonus points opportunities, so your players can have the opportunity to score player performance marks, and if they accumulate enough of these, you will score either +1, +3, +5 based on how well they meet the criteria for bonus points. So you'll get them for sort of dribbles, interceptions, fouls won, goals outside the box, etc. In future videos, I will give you an indication of which players and what type of players did well for bonus points last season, so stay tuned for that in future videos. So I produced this graphic just to give you an idea of the sort of content that I will create in future videos and how I will display it. So I kept some of the data from last season's Dream Team, just to give you an indication of what players did well in the last season. So this graphic shows the players that scored the highest number of goals and what players had the most shots on target overall across the season. So remember, the Sun Dream Team includes all of the games, the Premier League, Cups and European competitions. So that's why the appearances are more than your standard 38 Premier League games. So, of course, the graphic shows the player with the highest shots on target across the season and goals is Erling Haaland. He scored a goal every 1.3 games. So he has to be a lock in everyone's team. I've tried to play the game without him and it doesn't work. He'll be owned by about 70-75% of players. So if he carries on the rate that he has been doing last season, then I'm afraid you won't keep up with the pack. Next was Thiago, actually. So he was £30 million signing for Brentford, and he did remarkably well. He scored a goal every 1.9 games on average, so almost 1 in 2. And this was brilliant considering his price tag. I believe it was only about 3.9, so fantastic returns for his price. I do expect his price to be much higher this year based on these returns, so we'll wait and see. And then we've got Pedro, Gyökeres and Watkins sort of scoring a goal every 2.5 games. Down to the midfielders then. So Semenyo and Sarr were actually on par for the number of games that it took them to score a goal. So they were scoring a goal every 2.2 games. Semenyo is not a surprise. He did remarkably well at Bournemouth and he carried on this fantastic form into Manchester City, almost like he has been playing for them for many years. Sarr was a bit more of a surprise, actually. Again, considering his price tag, he was listed obviously midfielder, 3.84, 4.2, around that £1 million, around that mark. So for that price, amazing returns. He often played in a front two for obviously a Glasner team that's usually well controlled at the back, but also quite attacking. So if he is around that mark, price point again, then I will consider it, but we do need to keep in mind that they do have a different manager. Just one to keep an eye on. Gibbs White is next, so he scored a goal approximately every 3 games. So number 10 on some set pieces. He was on some penalties as well because Wood was injured. Albeit he didn't always score them, didn't he? But his returns were very good. So one to keep an eye on now. I think Nottingham Forest, obviously they've lost Anderson, haven't they? But I understand they've signed Austria midfielder Schlager, who's got lots of experience to fill the gap of Anderson, I presume. So will allow Gibbs White to continue in this position and hopefully continue this rate of returns. Of course, Glasner's now gone to Forest, hasn't he? So brilliant manager. I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on in Gibbs White. We'll see. I think Wood's all okay now, so whether he comes back in the team or whether Glasner has a different approach in terms of the striker that he chooses, so we may just have to see who is on the penalty duty for him. And then I just put Saka on the graphic just for interest purposes, really, because I was quite surprised at his rate of goal returns. A goal every 4.4 games was not great considering his price tag last season I'm sure was around 6.3 million. So a lot of money. He did say at the end of the World Cup he was fully fit. But for me, I'm just going to have to wait and see how he starts the season before considering putting him in my team. Of course, he shared minutes with Madueke last season, didn't he? And he was also injured for small parts of it. So, that's probably reflective in this return rate for goals. So just to finish off then, I've written down some top tips for you, especially for those that are starting out playing the game for the first time, just based on my experience the last few years. So the first one is to aim initially to build your squad value. Remember, you start with about £50 million, but if you want to be able to afford the better players from the better teams who are going to play in more competitions, who are going to go further in competitions, for example, you need to build your squad value. So as I said before, the main focus is to focus on the players that are doing well, try and keep hold of them, and to watch those players that don't score too well and decide whether it's worth transferring them out to a player that has done well, in the hope that they will increase in price, which they should do if they have scored many points. Don't feel you need to use your boosters straight away. So your 3 boosters, you will see people use them all in the first 3 game weeks to shoot up the leaderboard. It's not necessary. I've sometimes played them early and then later on in the season said to myself I really could have done with that booster. So yeah, don't feel pressure to use them straight away. Trust your gut over fear of missing out. So this is a game. If you've got a good feeling about a player, if you watch as much football as I do and you look at the eye test, you got a good feeling, good vibe about a player and fancy a bit of a punt, then I would say go for it. It's far better to go with that gut and it pay off than end up going along with the popular picks or the noise that's surrounding a player one game week, and you find that player doesn't do as well as the one that you were thinking about. So look, you be sensible, of course, just don't do too many punts, but if you want to do well in this game, you have to be a little bit less template at times. If you do want to take the game a little bit more seriously, you will need to log your deadlines somewhere, because it's going to be hard to remember all of them in your head. Remember, there's lots of competitions in this game, so unlike FPL where your deadlines will be weekends and occasionally midweek, in this game you may have a deadline Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I personally record my deadlines in my phone, and you may wish to do something similar. And lastly, watch Ms. Dream Team and have fun. I'm a neutral fan. I love watching football. I don't know why I enjoy football so much. My family not really into it. I never played it as a kid, but I enjoy it. It's something I enjoy, and playing fantasy football just makes watching football even more exciting, especially as a neutral fan. So have fun with the game, and more exciting content to come. I've got so much planned, so please hit the subscribe button to be notified of upcoming videos. Drop a like on the video so we can spread the news of this new channel, and I'll see you on the next one.